Well, hello everybody. It is almost time for the full moon, the Scorpio full moon it's happening on the 12th of May 2025. This is a rather special full moon because at the time of the full moon it will be triggering Uranus, which is in Taurus, and it'll be the last time that Uranus is triggered by either a full moon or a new moon before it moves out of Taurus. And this represents kind of a unique opportunity. Now, normally the full moon energy is time to take a little bit of a step back, to reflect. It can kind of be lugubrious, a little bit emotional. We're more likely to have dreams and feelings bubbling up from rather esoteric places within us. But this full moon is a little bit different. And there are three key words that I want to say to you, and that is confront, disrupt, and analyze. Because during this full moon, not only is Uranus triggered, it's a Scorpio full moon, and we have Mercury, which is in Taurus, square Pluto. So there is a need to dive a little bit deeper. Now, when I say confront, it's time to be honest with ourselves about certain issues, particularly those in intimate relationships, because the energies of Taurus with Scorpio are all about relating and do stimulate a manipulative, controlling kind of possessive energy. But there's also intensity of feelings. And so it's a time to work within our relationships at the psychology of relationships. So what I want you to do during this full moon is think about the mechanics of your relationship. And that's why I say you also have to be, with the Uranus energy, willing to disrupt. Now, the problem with a lot of people in relationships and why relationships can hit the doldrums or hit a major crisis is because people don't make incremental change along the way. They tend to cling to relationship rituals, to the status quo, and there's often a lack of acknowledging subtle changes within needs that you both have, within the dynamics of the relationship, or to do with external pressures, because with work, the economy, all this political stuff, that's also creating a lot of pressure in relationships. So what's very important during this full moon is understanding what's going on at the deeper level of the relationship. What isn't being said? What are you both sort of holding back on, perhaps nervous about expressing, or reticent about bringing it into the relationship discussion forum simply because there's already a lot of stress or you're already under pressure? How do you deal with these things in a way that is creative? Because right now it's also about solutions. Uranus always offers the opportunity of a breakthrough, of a change in momentum, and of sudden flashes of inspirational insight that can break deadlock. So the whole key to this full moon, you have Mercury square Pluto. So you're analyzing, thinking more deeply about relationships, understanding gaps in communication, seeing what isn't being said, understanding any subtle little games or issues that are lingering. Then you confront. Now, I don't mean confrontation in a relationship. That's not necessarily the right way to go about it, because that can bring out the really disruptive side and the chaotic side of Uranus. So you want to confront those issues within yourself. So don't be fearful to be totally honest with yourself. Don't self-censor, because sometimes the self-censoring programming that we're all in from various reasons runs so deep that we can actually feel guilty about having thoughts that no one even knows about, So don't be afraid to have these thoughts, be realistic, and think to yourself, what do I really need right now? What do I feel is going wrong in the relationship? Do I think that there is a fair balance of give and take? Because the Scorpio full moon is all about the relationship dynamic in terms of the subtle layers of give and take. So maybe on the surface, you're both cooperating, but at a deeper emotional level, are you both, is one feeding more of the other? Is one more emotionally demanding? Is one partner subtly prioritizing their needs over yours all the time? Or do you feel that the relationship is not as fulfilling for you simply because you've slipped into certain patterns that no longer work? Now, what's also important in relationships right now in the confront phase and disrupt phase is realizing what no longer works for you and not being afraid to say, look, I don't think we want to go to that place on holiday anymore, or I don't think those friends are good for us, or I don't think this particular pattern in the relationship is constructive. So bear all that in mind with the full moon. But at the same time, remember, the full moon is not a time necessary for a brand new start. It's a time to contemplate the changes that you feel need to be made, and then you implement them at the new moon. So I don't want you to feel pressured that you really need to jump on the back of all these things and make radical changes. It's about acknowledging these changes and then slowly working out the best way to implement them or to bring them into the forum for discussion. And as you go into the new moon, you can use those energies. But also remember, new moon triggering Uranus. Uranus is also conjunct the fixed star Algol. There can be some rather unpleasant energies going on a real global scale as well. So we'll also be watching what's happening. Now, we've got a new pope, not that I feel that in this day and age that is going to really shift the dial in any direction. But we've got what's going on with India and Pakistan. So you can feel tensions bubbling, even on a global level. I mean, what changes is the new pope going to make in terms of the pressure he can put socially or culturally? What's going to go on with India and Pakistan? What's going to go on in various other countries? We also have, at this full moon, Saturn conjunct the North Node. And if you've seen my other videos that I did on Saturn conjunct the North Node, it's been a time in history of rebellion, of breaking deadlock, of breaking down tyranny. And Uranus is also a kind of rebellious energy. So understand where in your life you're under some kind of tyranny. Maybe it's other people putting pressure, boundaries, and structure and control on you. Maybe it's your own limitations that are a kind of tyranny or a secret enemy for you. Don't be scared to break those down. And remember, the first phase of breaking anything down is recognizing it, analyzing it, taking like a really cold light of day appraisal of what's going on in your life, being relaxed about change, understanding that in many ways it's necessary and for the best, and then working out how you want to embrace that change and how you want to take it forward. So use the potentially disruptive energies right now to channel that disruption in your life and create change that is going to make you better, your relationships better, help you get where you want to be in 2025.